It's the end of the movie, the very last lines of the movie. Charlie is going through the glass ceiling with Mr. Wonka, and he says to him, "Hey, Charlie, don't forget what happened to the man who suddenly got everything he ever wanted."
Wow.
And Charlie says, "What happened?" And Wonka says, "He lived happily ever after," which is not. It's hard for me mentally to get there because of my DNA, and I always want to win.
Right.
And I want to win again. And yeah, I get it. No, I have rings, but I want another ring.
Yeah.
Right. I just can't seem to be content.
Right.
And it's not because I'm selfish or because I'm greedy or anything. It's just there's a desire in me where I don't just want to sit. But it's okay to just sit.
Be content, right?
And if I could talk to myself 3 years ago, again, when I quit my job and was just didn't know what to do, I frantically was looking for the next thing. It's like, just relax, man.
Yeah.
Look around at what you have.
Hi, everyone. I'm Madison Clark with McKinney Economic Development Corporation, and I'm very excited today to bring you our guest on McKinney Momentum. We're talking today with Dru Riess from ILS Gummies. Let's jump in. So welcome, Dru. So glad
Thanks
to
for
have you
having me.
here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to jump in on the ILS story and what this is looking like here in McKinney, but let's take a step back and let's talk a little bit about you personally. Tell us about your background.
Sure.
Where'd you come from? How'd you get to Texas?
Sure. Where I came from. Minot, North Dakota, born and raised, raised in Ohio, but born on a military base in Minot, North Dakota. So I guess I'm technically Eskimo.
How do you spell that?
Minot.
Minot.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's still a military base there to this day. In my life, I've met 3 people randomly at bars that were actually born in the same hospital as I was. So,
that's great.
pretty cool fun fact.
Yeah.
Grew up in a small town in Ohio, C student, went to the University of Cincinnati, majored in business because I felt like it was going to be the easiest degree to get.
Right.
It's a lot of hypotheticals, a lot of, just common sense, if you will. And I've always prided myself on being street smart. So majoring in entrepreneurship was kind of just a foregone conclusion, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how can I fail a course where all I'm going to be doing is arguing hypotheticals with an instructor of whether this, idea could be a business or not. And I was proven right? It was a very easy degree to get.
Yeah.
It was one of the first years that they actually offered it at the University of Cincinnati, and now it's a thriving degree you can get, several places, but years ago it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
Lo and behold, didn't go into entrepreneurship right out of school, got an entry-level job just like most people do, whether it's enterprise rental car, ADP payroll, whatever. You take what's given to you because you got bills to pay now, right?
Right.
And about 2 years after getting out of college, I decided the corporate world was not for me. In college, I worked several jobs, paid for school myself, and I actually went back to waiting tables because I would rather do that and have spare time to figure out what I was going to be passionate about, how I was going to get to where I always saw myself getting, rather than sit behind a cubicle and just waste the day hours where I could be making progress on that dream.
Right.
And in 2007, I took a chance and started a business in the printing industry, in the flexible packaging, food grade printing industry, and it grew over 13 years to be one of the number 1 printing companies in America, and sold it to Morgan Stanley in 2019.
Wow.
So entrepreneurship I did.
Yes.
Retired for the first time at 37, and then was recruited out of that, I guess, temporary retirement by a PE firm locally based in Dallas to come out and build this ILS Gummies platform.
Right.
And I'm certainly really excited about being here, and just really excited that we brought it coincidentally back to McKinney, which is where my first company was built.
That's great. So your first company, you started, am I correct, in a barn?
Correct, yeah. The Highway 380, where the Baylor Hospital now today is, in 2007 through 2011.
Okay.
There was a steel barn out there, not temperature controlled.
Yeah.
Horrible conditions, right?
So we talk with a lot of entrepreneurs in our world. So I have to ask you, so was your first few years as an entrepreneur, would you, was that very sexy for you, or was it pretty bottom of the barrel, scrappy?
Yeah, talk about bootstrapping is the term that I've come to learn.
Yes.
And it was no paychecks at times. There was not one time that my partner and I had any nightlife experiences. You can imagine from 24 to 30, never. I mean, I lived in Dallas for, at that point, 6 years or so, and had never been downtown Dallas.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe one time on a special occasion,
Right.
but it was about grinding. It was 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, there's a story that my business partner will tell you about almost mythological, is that
Okay.
the word?
Yep.
Where he describes me, he says he looks over at me and sees blood coming down from my nose because I had been up for, I think the rumor now is 72 hours straight. I think it was only like 36 hours.
Okay.
But, things get fabricated over time and the more you tell the story. And he said, you've got to go home. Your body's telling you, you've got to rest. This is a true story.
Okay.
So I said, okay, you're right, man. I was just trying to get a hot order out for a customer,
Right.
and we had to carry the grunt of all the workload at that time. And I went home and I got a nap in, took a shower, but I think it was only like 2 hours later, I came walking back through the front door, and he says, he saw me walking through the front door, and it was like a silhouette, like almost, like Jesus coming walking through. I was like, no, man, that's not, the case. But we laugh about it to this day because somehow in me, I had this tenacity, this hunger where I was not going to be denied. I think 50 Cent says it best, get rich or die trying.
Yes.
And that was what we were trying to do in our late 20s, and we were
Right.
ultimately able to get there by the time I turned 30.
So for a young entrepreneur that you would be sitting down with, say I'm a young entrepreneur now, what would be a quick, short piece of advice that you would give to them having done this yourself and at a young age, having some good experiences, having some not so good experiences? What would be one piece of advice you'd give to a young entrepreneur?
One piece of advice is you've got to know yourself and you know your why. Everyone's got a why. Why do you wake up in the morning?
Right.
What is your utopian vision for your life?
Yes.
Not, what is your goal today? Like, in the end, everything we do daily is just footsteps to where you ultimately want to be. When I meet people and they say, hi, my name's Jessica, and I'm an accountant. It's like, no, you're not an accountant. An accountant's what you're doing right now, but who is Jessica? Where are you trying to get in your life? And that's the person that I want to know. So you got to know your why. And a lot of people get mistaken for motivation versus motivation. It's not automatic, right? It's something that's inside you. That your DNA has been wound up. You've been programmed as a little kid, or maybe an experience in your young adolescence that makes you just put your foot in the ground and say, enough.
Right.
I'm going to change my platform. I'm going to change where my circumstances are, and I'm not going to stop until I get here.
Yeah, that's good.
So know
good
yourself.
advice. So retired at 37 after you sold the previous company. Had, 3 years of retirement or so?
Regretfully, I did not just sit.
Right.
I think I put in my notice in June, and by July 1st, I was already looking for another. It's just the way my brain is, right? I felt stagnant. I needed to do something. I should have taken time and spent time with my wife and spent time with my 2 kids. Instead, I just hit the phones and hit networking and was trying to find that next thing. And I accepted pretty much the next thing that fell in my lap. And it was a good experience. A lot of value came out of it now that I look back on it. But I did 9 months as a interim COO for a pharmaceutical company down in Fort Worth. Again, I got to learn a lot of behind the curtain aspects in manufacturing on something that stringent, that tight and regulated, which actually comes in handy now with ILS Gummies side of things, which I would not have been privy to without that experience. So it wasn't lost time. I met a lot of great people, and in fact, I've recruited some of those great people to now be a part of the ILS Gummies team. So again, not wasted time, but I shouldn't have jumped into something that fast. So took another stint where I came home. It lasted about 7 months, 8 months. That time, though, I was very intentional with, okay, I'm home, and I'm going to start walking with my wife every single day. And we did. It was a kind of a bonding thing. We would go to brunch. I started coaching all my kids' sports. I coached my daughter's basketball team. I think I'm now on my 4th season of coaching my son's soccer team, which we went undefeated last season.
Great.
So we're trying to run it back one more
Yes.
time. But yeah, I was intentional, and I was doing those things, and I wasn't looking for an opportunity. And lo and behold, I'm in the carpool line picking my kids up from school last March, exactly 1 year from today. And my phone rings, and I know who it is, a gentleman from a private equity firm in Dallas. And answered, I said, hey, what's going on? He said, well, I've got this project. Would you mind coming and take a look at it? What are you up to these days? I said, oh, like right now I'm picking the kids up from school and probably going to go get a margarita after this. It's 3 o'clock. And he says, no, what are you doing these days? Because he wanted to know if I was tied up in something. I said, actually, I'm not. So that's how this all came about, and ultra excited about where it is now 1 year later.
So tell us about ILS Gummies. What is ILS Gummies? Where might we as regular consumers be acquainted with ILS Gummies. Tell us some more about that.
We're kind of the guy behind the guy, right? So
Okay.
we're the behind the curtain aspect to all these brands. You walk into Walmart, you walk into Target, CVS, Walgreens, you name it, and you see all these vitamins and elderberry gummies, sleep formulas and such, right? All those brands, they don't make their own gummies.
Yeah.
They contract that work out to somebody like an ILS.
Okay.
And ILS was really birthed out of a need. Most of the gummies, up to a year ago or so, all the gummies that you were buying on the shelf for your kids, you think, oh, these are such good, multivitamins for my children.
Right.
Well, turn over the next brand and look at the supplement fact panel. Turn over the next one, the next one. They're all identical because they're all coming out of China. We're literally buying, these brands are buying
Right.
gummies bulk made in China, shipped over here, and then these co-packers are just dropping them into a different shape of bottle with a different label for each brand. So there's no differentiation. There's no research and development. There's no earth-shattering just development in these products. We're
Right.
just basically marketing products to make money. Well, a few American brands started to pop up. There's some manufacturing facilities, campuses, if you will. One of them, our largest competitor, just went bankrupt. So that's
Wow.
a great thing for us.
Yeah,
But
you're not mad about that, right?
no, we're not. And that's a means of understanding your target market and where you want to go with the business.
Yeah.
But there is a definite need for manufacturing in the United States for these types of products, for the regulations that we put on making supplements and dietary supplements. In fact, I've always found it easier to sell products made in the U.S. overseas. So now we're even opening doors into Europe and actually over into Asia, where they want to buy things that says made in America on the
Right.
product, right? So that's what we're doing. We are peeling back and giving a transparent manufacturing process to all these brands where they can be a part of the research and development. Come in and tell us, hey, you want your own special flavor? Great.
Yeah.
Let's custom make a flavor just for you that no one else has.
Wow.
Pineapple, mountain, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Let's give you the ability to take out an ingredient if you necessarily don't want that in there, or maybe you read something in a science article and it says, to have more zinc in your life is just so good and no other kid's vitamin has this right now. Great, let's add a dash of that. So we're giving custom formulation and that control to brands here in America.
Right.
We're lowering the MOQs that none of our competitors in the states that at least do what we
And
do.
what does MOQs mean?
Minimum order quantity,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So again, a lot of these bulk making gummy companies, whether they're in China or whether they're driven here in the United States, force you into their formula, force you into their cookie cutter business model, require you to order, 30,000 bottles of this formula, and we're not budging from it. So now you've got all this overhead you don't need. Your working capital is tied up, where you could be, if as a smaller brand, especially if you're a startup, you kind of just need enough to get into the stores,
Yes.
get the cash back, and then just keep
Yeah.
rolling the business. We're lowering those hurdles for
Right.
newer brands to just keep entering the market.
That's great.
So that's what ILS is about disrupting,
Yeah.
right? Changing the MOQs, giving more customization, being more transparent with the process. If you come to our campus, you're going to see gummies. Literally, the second you open our headquarter front door, you're staring at gummies coming off of a machine.
Wow.
We made what we call the fishbowl
Okay.
of manufacturing, where we want to show it off.
Yeah.
We don't want to hide behind it. And we want you as a customer to be integrated in a
Right.
part of developing your
That's
product.
great. I think that transparency and openness are what a lot of customers are looking for these days. And with building your new facility, I know we've had some conversations about what the footprint will actually look like for your facility. And I think you were very strategic in how you designed that. So tell us a little bit about that fishbowl approach, if you will, and maybe some of the little bit of the design of your footprint here in McKinney.
We, one, I guess, pet peeve of mine when I go to a pharmaceutical company like I was leading prior to this, or when I've just visited other nutraceutical, pharmaceutical manufacturers of proteins, capsules, tablets, I never enjoy the process of, okay, now got to take off my ring,
Yeah.
my watches, I got to put the hairnet on. I was having a really good hair day before
Yes.
this, and I've got other meetings to go to. The lab coats never fit right.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. The gloves, the booties, and just all that. So I was like, how can we make this experience more enjoyable? How can we give more power to the customer where if they want to come in and just give a tour to either their upper executives, or if we have brokers or manufacturers reps that want to really show that they have control of a
Right.
relationship with our company, they can come in and they don't have to come get us,
Yes.
the people that work there on a daily. They know our campus well enough, and they can give themselves a tour. So there's actually a Willy Wonka hallway, I call it. It's an interactive hallway that you go around the entire manufacturing process, not disclosing any confidential information. You can't tell from looking at a machine as gummies fall what brand that is, what formula that is, but you can see the process. You can see our teammates are not scared of elevating their game and knowing that they're going to be watched. Yes, they have all their PPE on. Yes, they're doing things right. Look at our cleaning standards, and that if a gummy drops off of a conveyor onto a floor, how quickly it is swiped up, disposed of, and moved on. Right. So we want to show that off, right? And as you round the corner, the drying process, to be able to see how the gummies are dried, how they're stacked on these trays, and then ultimately the packaging process. You get an angle at seeing the people running the bottling line, the pouching line, and such. And so it really kind of immerses you in the whole thing without ever having to go into production, gowned up. You're able to look through all these windows we strategically placed, and not having to get gowned up is an advantage, I feel like. But if you don't work there, if you're not an Oompa Loompa of ours, you don't have any business being out there anyways, for safety reasons as well, right? I mean, there's oils and stuff on the ground. You've got to have the proper gear on and understand.
And you can keep your good hair day in place,
That's right? Yep.
That's great. So I love to hear you say, you've had the entrepreneur grind yourself, and then now you're working with a private equity firm to really kind of revamp a company that was struggling before they brought you in to kind of revamp this company, right? But you still have the mindset of an entrepreneur, and you're trying to help these other small startups that are looking to put some supplements on the market. And like you said, removing some of those, was it MOQs?
Yes.
MOQs. So I think that's great that you're still giving back to that same community, that same entrepreneur that you once were. And that's probably going to be really beneficial for your business going forward.
Yeah, I like to work with fast-growing businesses. When things get stagnant, if we were working with, the big box store brands, right? I don't want to say any particular ones in case.
Right.
But just the big boys. They're kind of commercial airline flights, right? They do the same thing every day. They're very large orders, and that's great. But we kind of know our customer base and who we want. We can get a premium too if we're able to offer things that other people don't. The lower MOQs, the customization, and such. So we're looking for that boutique, that niche customer that orders anywhere from 5,000 bottles to 100,000 bottles.
Yeah.
And there are other manufacturers out there that want the brand names that are 1 billion bottles a pop, but they're selling a gummy for under a penny per. That's not who we want, right? We want customization. We want a ton of actives being put inside these gummies, so we can get a premium for it. But we are really servicing the client as well.
You know your niche, so that's
and
great.
I love seeing brands take off. I've been a part of so many brands that have launched on Amazon or launched on their website, or maybe got into Whole Foods in a small little segment of the country, and then to watch them blow up and go national, right, is really exciting, because then the next order and the next order and the next order just continues to grow. And that's fun to grow with businesses.
Yeah, that's great. Love it. So let's take a bit of a different approach. So talk to us a little bit about McKinney. So why McKinney? How did ILS end up here in McKinney? Give us your...
It's your fault.
My fault, right?
It is.
I know. I was trying to help you get into a different spot here in the Metroplex. And
we thought it was going to be
just as a
somewhere
friend,
else,
right?
Yeah. And like I said, this is my second stint, right, in McKinney.
Yeah.
McKinney is the reason that I am where I am. From 2007, when I first got here, I've been able to see how fast the city has grown. But in 2012, when we were ready to move out of that barn and into an industrial space, the rally mentality that the city had at that time to try to help us find a space, help us work out finances, right? I mean, we were young entrepreneurs.
Right.
We were, 27, 28, and we were taking a huge leap of leaving a barn that cost us $1,000 a month to now a real space we had to do a full build out on and everything. And the city came through with grants. The Economic Development Committee came through with some incentives for bringing jobs. And I think we met every tier of those. In fact, we did 2 different terms with the EDC over the course of 6 years. So we were, entwined with what the city was doing. We were a success story that you guys could lean on. And it was such a pleasant experience that, again, sad to leave McKinney when I did in 2019. Went home, got this call. We were supposed to build this facility. This ILS facility was supposed to be in Utah. And the facility that was under lease did not have enough power to power all the assets once we got up and going. So then the drawing board became completely open, and the PE firm said, well, okay, if you're going to be a part of this, and if we're going to really do this, and this is really untraditional for PE firms to greenfield something, but this is pretty much their first greenfield project, which means, starting it from the ground up.
Right.
It wasn't so much a struggling business. It was just kind of an underdeveloped business in the beginning. We said, why not look at Dallas?
Yeah.
Is there a space that has the power that can be built out in the time frame that we need? And you know how hard. I looked all over the entire city, made a call to you because, again, your background, our relationship in the past, said, is there anything in McKinney? And we were able to find a facility coincidentally about 2 miles away from my previous one. So I don't know if it's serendipitous or what, but it is very odd that I'm back in that hood, if you will, on the other side of the tracks, the other side of 75. But we're very excited. You guys came through again with some resources to help us and just the support that we've been given from the city because we knew what kind of time frame we were on for this build out, from the mayor to city officials, to Dana, our dear friend Dana, and
our
just
dear friend Dana.
how hard she fought for us and got us our CO or TCO quicker than I think anybody in the country could have gotten a TCO.
Great. We love to hear that. And we're very proud to have ILS Gummies here in McKinney and excited to see, I would imagine, what would be a similar trajectory that the previous company did and just your continuous growth and advancement of the company, the people that are working with you guys. I think you're an incredible leader yourself, and when you have a strong leader, everything rises and falls on leadership. So I'm really excited to see what comes along with ILS Gummies.
It's intimidating because this thing actually, headcount-wise, will be much larger than my previous venture. But looking at, and I think it's just due to manufacturing technologies and stuff, but the previous entity ran 24/7, right? And I don't see us needing to do that with this technology and in this sector, but it is leading more people, right? I think day one will be 50 plus people,
right?
Or we're already getting close to that because we have been open for a couple weeks now. Ribbon cutting's April 14th, right? I think 9:30.
Yep.
So that's pretty special, but again, different circumstances. I don't know if we'll be going 24/7.
Yeah.
But wow, to lead more people is going to be an exciting challenge.
Absolutely. Well, tell me this. Imagine you met yourself of 3 years ago, and what top 3 things have you learned that you would tell yourself of 3 years ago?
3 years ago. Okay, so 3 years ago I was...
Spend more time with your wife.
Yep.
Go on a walk, right?
Yep. And I was just, be content with everything. I have a Willy Wonka quote. It's just...
Yeah, we're going to talk about Willy Wonka because I want to...
By chance, right?
Okay.
Like literally, it's one of my favorite movies, and I have a quote in my office at home on the wall, and I did that in 2014 when I built the house. It's the end of the movie, the very last lines of the movie. Charlie is going through the glass ceiling with Mr. Wonka, and he says to him, "Hey, Charlie, don't forget what happened to the man who suddenly got everything he ever wanted."
Wow.
And Charlie says, "What happened?" And Wonka says, "He lived happily ever after," which is not. It's hard for me mentally to get there because of my DNA, and I always want to win,
right? And
I want to win again. And I get it. No, I have rings, but I want another ring, right? I just can't seem to be content,
right?
And it's not because I'm selfish or because I'm greedy or anything. It's just there's a desire in me where I don't just want to sit, but it's okay to just
be
sit.
content, right?
And if I could talk to myself 3 years ago, again, when I quit my job and was just didn't know what to do, I frantically was looking for the next thing. It's like just relax, man.
Yeah.
Look around at what you have.
Right.
Just physically, with my family, right? Healthy marriage. Now to this day, 15 years.
Yeah. Congrats.
Been together, I think
That's
11, great. 12, married here in August.
You better know how long you've been married.
In May,
this is important.
No, I know. She'll see this and be like,
yeah, come on, Drew.
but my kids are thriving, and it's just awesome,
That's
right?
Great.
So
Good.
Just be content.
Yes, be content. Love that. So tell me what's next for ILS Gummies. What can we look forward to and celebrate with you guys?
Growth. Hopefully extreme growth. We've got the orders in, to be honest, to this point, what is it, March 15th, 16th today? Already we have POs in that surpass what we did in the entire year revenue in 2022. So the orders continue to keep coming in, and now it is just a huge challenge for our leadership team to dissect and organize how do we take care of all the customers that are coming on and make sure that we don't let them down, that we hit load-in numbers for certain department stores that are pretty strict on, okay, yeah, we'll take your account, but you have to get us X amount of each SKU by this date. So we've got a challenge right now to kind of juggle all that. How do we get more than one asset, one manufacturing machine that makes the gummies, right? Is all we ever had in our Utah facility. It's all we ever had in our Florida facility. Well, now we've got several assets. How do we get these staff trained up for scalability where we can run all three? And, we don't have to have, we have 3 or 4 people that really know what they're doing out there. Well, what if we need to run 2 shifts?
Right.
We can't be at every machine on every shift every day. So it's all about education and being able to scale quickly in every facet of the business. And that's the challenge that we have as an organization. And that's what you can expect is for us to figure those things out painfully or, hopefully not as painful as I am anticipating and to be able to just keep bringing jobs here.
Yeah, that's great. We're excited for it. So before we're going to go to some rapid fire kind of lightning round type questions. But is there anything else on ILS Gummies that you think we should chat about before we go into some fun random questions?
If you have a gummy idea,
send it your way.
Send it our way. If you know somebody that has a brand, whether it's in the supplement industry or, and if they don't even have gummies yet and just are curious on, hey, I wonder if this formula would fit that delivery system.
Yeah.
And gummies are the number one selling, delivery system
Right.
for things, period. Look at Amazon and what they're selling for dietary supplements. Gummies continue to rise.
Yeah.
10 years ago, the efficacy of a gummy vitamin was questioned. How can you make sure that the dosage is correct in each gummy? Those problems have been overcome with technique, cooking techniques, and also equipment. And all of our equipment's pharma grade, so it can put in those load-in values and deliver an efficacy of a product that warrants what the supplement fact really says, right? And we do send things out for testing. So just know that gummies are here to stay. Statistically, it's showing. And then there are markets that are going to open up as soon as the FDA approves in a few years or maybe in a few months. Your ibuprofens, your Midols, your Sudafeds, everything will eventually go into a gummy.
Yeah.
It will. It is already out there. It's already being tested. It's a better, enjoyable delivery system to take. I have elderly in-laws in their 80s, 90s, and there's a certain point that you get as you age that that market can't take tablets or capsules or anything anymore, but a gummy is an enjoyable thing. So now you're opening more of a market. And then on the lower side, my children need certain nutrients and things doctor prescribed, and it's hard for them to swallow capsules and such, up until a certain age when they finally get it.
Yeah.
Well, a gummy they can have by the time they're 2 or 3.
Yes.
So again, they're not going anywhere. The product's going to continue to be expanded into OTC and also nutraceutical. Everybody's into living better, living longer, better for you markets, and we're here to stay.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we appreciate the work that you're doing to bring quality products to the market because we need to have products we can trust as a consumer and to know that you have the framework in place on the back, the back end, the manufacturing process that is regulated, compliance, reviewed, tested.
Yep.
So that's great. Okay, so rapid fire questions. Okay. These are meant to be fun. They're meant to be
Are these
pretty
personal
much
or business related?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
So it's kind of the first thing that comes to mind. So don't think about it too much, but we'll dive in. Best meal you've ever eaten?
Best meal I've ever eaten. Steak from McGuire's Steakhouse in Destin, Florida.
All right.
I'm obsessed. I've probably been 25 times.
Oh my goodness.
Once a year for the last 25 years.
Yeah, great. What was your first job?
I was cooking hot dogs. It's literally called a BK root beer stand. It is a mom and pop owned little hot dog stand that was like a stone's throw away from my house.
Okay.
So I
Did you walk there to work?
walked there.
Yeah.
And
There's that
walked
grind
in
again.
And Clark, I remember Clark, the owner, said, "You're going to be the cook today." And it was like my first day. I said, "Cook?" I'm 15 years old, never cooked anything in my life. He goes, "Come here, I'll show you." And he taught me how to grill a piece of chicken on a flat iron grill, and taught me how to cook a burger and drop fried mushrooms into a fryer. And
wow.
Off I went.
So from grilling and cooking hot dogs and chicken and to now manufacturing gummies. There's the grind on the front end.
A lot that
the current
happened in
grind.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time of day are you most productive?
Early morning when
Okay.
people aren't bothering or knocking on my door or
Yeah.
coming into the office. So this morning I was in there at 6 just to try to get a few things done before people start showing up.
Are you a coffee drinker, energy drinker?
No energy drinks.
Okay.
I did my time. I worked for Coca-Cola during the full throttle days in college when that product launched, and I think I consumed at least 2,000 of those things. Yeah, I used to have a fridge just full of full throttle, and my roommates would just devour them. But I know that's bad for you, so I drink about a pot of coffee a day.
Okay.
Typically start my morning around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is why I get emails from you at 4:30 and 5 a.m. because you're cranking it out in the morning, huh?
I also can't sleep. I think most people that have
Yep.
brains like this will just pop up, and at 2
Yeah.
o'clock, if they think of something, I'm going to write a message about that right now
Right.
so I don't forget.
Oh, yeah.
So
I was
people-
awake at
people
5
do
a.m.
think
doing
I don't
that.
sleep. I do sleep, but
As long as we don't see blood coming out of your nose again, right? I mean, if we have that.
My wife is very jealous because it takes her a longer, process to just fall asleep.
Yeah.
If you tell me it's okay to take a nap right here, I can literally, I'll go
my
to bed in
goodness.
like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So my body
Wow.
is blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, good. Okay, stuck on a desert island. You can take 3 movies. What are they?
You've asked me this before. The Island, coincidentally,
Okay.
fantastic movie. Best in Show,
Okay,
the humor's amazing. And Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. Okay, I don't think we dove into Willy Wonka much. We did. We talked about the quote. And this is your obsession with Willy Wonka, the quote, the movie as a whole. Okay, got it. Okay, same question, but with books. Stuck on an island, what 3 books are you going to take?
The one I wrote.
Okay.
I don't even know if it's out for sale anymore, but it was a therapeutic process, and it definitely helped put into context what I lived through, and it's a voice that my children can read and just know how I thought in my early 30s, late 20s. So I'm very grateful that I took the risk and even did that. Don't agree with a lot of the stuff I wrote in it now, as I'm about to be 40 in a month.
Okay.
But I think it's really cool that my kids will get to read that book someday
Yeah.
and hear that voice at that age and the way I thought. Traction, great book. It's the EOS operating system. My old business partner actually now has a license and teaches that. So
Great.
I didn't read it when we were building our business, but I read it after the fact. He said, "Yeah, you may like this," and it seemed like we almost wrote the book because
Oh, wow.
we did almost everything
Yeah.
in that process. And then the Bible.
Okay.
My wife would be very disappointed
Yep.
if I didn't say that.
You got to say the Bible, right? Love it. Okay, bucket list travel destination.
I want to go to Italy. Never
Okay.
been to Europe. Promised my wife we would go, and then COVID hit, right? That would have been the perfect time when I was semi-retired. But we're looking right now at making that happen here in the next year.
Yeah, good. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing? Failure's not an option. Money's
Sure,
unlimited.
What I-
Resources unlimited.
I think my old partner and I are just very close. We're almost like brothers. We talk about our aspirations, what we want to do beyond this. He's helping with this venture as well from a distance,
Okay.
whether it's just being a sounding board when I need to make tough decisions, helping me recruit customers, helping me recruit talent to be a part of the day-to-day operation at ILS. And we talk about what we want to do after this, and a smaller PE firm that we'll either be a part of, buy into, but we want to be managing partners or have our own PE firm someday.
Right. That's
so
great.
take chance on small ventures
Yeah.
and just be more on the investing side, the mentoring and the consulting side of
Yeah.
the business.
That's awesome. So there's some common themes in our conversation today, I think. I mean, you've really got the true entrepreneur grind that we often hear about, that tenacity that makes you bleed sometimes, right? Literally and figuratively.
Yep.
And then, I think the mindset of a winner. And I think that's going to really continue to aid you in what you're doing with ILS Gummies and beyond. So really happy to have had you on today and for you to share with us a little bit behind the curtain.
Yep.
And get us a little sneak peek as to what's going on with ILS Gummies here in McKinney. So we
I
appreciate it.
appreciated the invite. This is always fun. Always
Yeah.
good to see you.
Yes, it's fun.
Hopefully the people who listen to this enjoy it.
Right. Thank you, Drew. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the time today we had with Dru Riess. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for our next episodes of McKinney Momentum.